Hello everyone, welcome to City Skylines Springwood City Unmodded Gameplay episode 23. In the previous episode, we had an increasing industrial demand, which is why we created some farms here, but I did not expect that small piece of land will completely obliterate the industrial demand of the city altogether. Now, instead, we have a lot of residential demand to the point that we now have started having a worker demand issue in our older industrial district. So to combat this, we'll obviously need to add more housing to invite more people to the city so that they can start filling in these jobs. Now my plan is to buy this piece of land, which would help us extend our cozy district a little bit further down and also maybe add a new residential district altogether. Apart from that, we have a big piece of farmlands over here, so maybe in the future we can add some farm industry over there as well. And another exciting thing is we have a train line in that piece of land, so we can now start adding trains to the city, which is really exciting. So let's get started with this. I'm going to buy this land and then let's see how this is gonna go. My first plan of action would be to extend cozy district further down in this area, and one of the things I was thinking was maybe we can extend this road all the way up till here, and that can probably go a little bit further northwards of Rest Village, but we'll see how this goes. So let me get started with this and see you guys in just a moment. At this point, I started questioning if it is a good idea to put that road on the farmlands or if we should steer clear of that area completely, which is why the road went on the left. And here I want to make it a little bit more realistic by making the road follow the terrain. And here I just want to make the road look natural in following the terrain, but sometimes dealing with landscaping tools in this game is challenging. I think it might take me a while to get this done properly. Now let's just upgrade all the roads. And here I also want to make a bridge, so the highway will need to go under the road. Alright, now let's work on extending cozy district. I'm not quite sure how I want to do this yet, but let's improvise on this. The one thing I know though is I want to maintain the same character that we have in cozy district in this new extension as well. So whatever we do, we want to ensure that happens. And I'm not sure if it might be wise here to use tunnels. I guess it is, because I don't want to have any road connections on the main road. So I think this is a good option. Alright, now on to the neighborhood itself. So like I said, we want to maintain the same character as cozy district, so this will again have a lot of smaller intersections, and we'll obviously have the small 4x4 cells squares that will surround them. I do want to add some pedestrian streets in this area, so I think that is the only thing that will be different in this. And once again, I want to mix and match different kinds of zoning, so I want to add some commercial as well as offices in this area, although I do not want to make this a pedestrian district, which is why I'm making sure that nothing touches the pedestrian streets. Just converting all the pedestrian streets into sandstone to make sure they are visible in the video, and just continuing to work on this. I want to make sure this is extremely walkable and there is a lot of connections for people to walk around and bike around. So this neighborhood, although not that dense, would be really pleasant for people to live into. Now looking at the other side of this, I'm deviating slightly from the original style of cozy district, but I want to ensure that I add a lot of big buildings in this area, but there is a lot of space in between those buildings to make sure it still follows the same philosophy that we started cozy district with, which is basically just a lot of open space between different buildings. Alright, I'm going to sidetrack for just a minute to ensure this road is properly connected to our new district so that garbage trucks can easily reach it. I think that looks good, just trimming this off. And back to this, just rezoning things that we broke and adding this pedestrian street to connect this area with our park around the interchange. And I want to zone some more homes. I guess I can make an extension like this and that would look really good. Just adding a park or maybe a sports facility to make sure it is more livable, and I think that looks really good. Alright, so I've extended Cozy District as much as I could and added some homes in this area, but we still have a lot of demand, so this is certainly not enough and we'll need to find a new place to add more homes. I do have space to zone more homes within this district, but I don't want to make it too cramped, so I'll need to look for a different place to zone more homes. Also, I just realized that we are really close to our next milestone at 22,000 people. We are already at 21, so it shouldn't take us that long. So let's also try to achieve that as we make this new neighborhood, which I'm thinking we can build in this area. And I think it might be interesting to take this interchange upwards to connect to this new area. So let me start building this and see you guys in a few minutes. Alright, so since this turn is too steep for us, we need to build a hairpin turn to gradually increase the elevation. So I'm going to take out the terrain tool once again and build this out. Alright, so this is ready. I'm just beautifying this with some more landscaping features. The one thing I missed from vanilla game is retaining walls. They would be perfect in this situation both aesthetically and functionally, but since we don't have that, I'm just using rocks. Alright, now I want to bring this road all the way up till this point. And we can build an interchange over here to connect it with the highway. And for now, this is just going to be a really simple connection. I'm just going to make an elongated roundabout just like this and connect it with the highway and the main road like so. We'll obviously need some ramps like this just to make the traffic flow a little bit easier, but otherwise this is as simple as it can get. Alright, so this is where we'll be building our new neighborhood, just laying out the bare bones of the roads. And thinking in terms of planning, this is probably not as well planned as Cozy District, but it is also not as organic as Crest Village on the right. So I'll be making some areas in this which are more structured, while some are chaotic and haphazard. Alright, so our district is shaping up. It's called Myrtle Park. And for this one, I'm thinking we can apply a new style, maybe sleek future, and also some policies. I guess high-tech housing could be a good one. No specific reason, just want to experiment with something new. And other than that, I think I want to ban heavy traffic from this area, and I also want to encourage people to bike. And I think that looks good. And as the next step, let's upgrade some of these roads. I'll also add some pedestrian streets. Maybe for this one, I'll add a pedestrian district to zone things on pedestrian streets to add some variation from our previous districts. Alright, so this is ready. I'm going to add some services to this area. And I'm going to start zoning a lot of things. The only thing that is different in this one is these walls that I'm using to separate out these cells. You know, many buildings have open space around them, they have fences, they have compound walls, and so forth. So these kind of things can add some more realism to our buildings and make them slightly more beautiful. Anyway, more services here. We also have the pedestrian area service point with this one, and still doing traditional zoning to have some variety. And more services, and let's see how it looks. Alright, let me continue to zone things and see you guys in a few minutes. Alright, so we are really close to our next milestone of 22,000 people. So while we wait for that, I want to go back for just a moment to our hairpin turn and see what that looks like. And I think this looks really good. The view from here is, oh, there we go. So we have reached the milestone already. This one doesn't unlock that many interesting things. Maybe the solar power plant and the transit facilities might be interesting, but we'll look at that later on. I was just saying that the view from here was really nice. Anyway, going back to the zoning, I'll zone some more homes and offices and shops and see you guys in a few moments. And here I'm thinking we can add a pedestrian street connection that goes from the upper district to the lower district, adding to the walkability of these areas. And now I'm back to zoning more homes. And now let's do something interesting with this promenade. I think I'm going to extend it all the way up over here. And now I'm going to line it with a bike path just to make sure that nothing gets zoned around the promenade. And now let's zone some more homes. And let's fence up the other side of the promenade with this wall to make sure people don't fall down the cliff. And I think this looks really good. I have some ideas for the cliff area, but I'll get to that in just a moment. Right now we have a lot of commercial demand, so I'm going to zone a lot of shops over here. And now we have rising residential demand, so we need to zone more homes. I have an idea for this promenade. I want to make something interesting around that rock formation and make sure that this promenade reaches the main road to look a bit more complete. Right now I'm just making a circle around this rock formation, but maybe in the future I might add some plazas or something interesting around that. We'll need to think more about that in the future, but for now this is good. Adding one more connection over here and just finishing it off with this bike path. And now we have a lot of commercial demand once again, so I'm going to zone a lot more shops over here. And here we want to create some separation between the commercial and the residential zoning. This pedestrian path is one way, but we can obviously add more trees to make sure that the noise from the shops doesn't really bother the residents that much. And it also looks quite pretty. Alright, now let's think about what we can do with the cliff area. I'm thinking we can make it really green, maybe even make it into a park, and it will have a lot of vegetation and trees and maybe even trails if you feel like that. I think this kind of park can be really good for the residents. It can provide some good entertainment value as well as a place for them to go and relax. And since this is really close to civilization, one more thing that we can add is an electric line. We see a lot of examples of this in real life cities as well. And to top it off, we can actually make it more realistic by making a clearing around that, because usually these kind of power lines don't have large trees around them in real life. So this looks fairly realistic, I think. Now let me just finish off this wall, which I did not complete previously. And now let's make this into a park area. I'm thinking we can probably make it a nature reserve. I'm going to add the main gate over here and maybe add some assets and trails around this. I'm going to make this quick for now, but we'll show this later on in proper detail. So I think that's about it. We built a lot of things in this video, and I think our city is turning out to be really nice. As the next step, we'll see what we can do, but for now, I'll end this episode over here. So if you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe and join our Instagram channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.